Let's start by drawing square PQRS. I'm actually going to draw it fairly large because we're going to be doing a lot of marking up with this square. So we've got PQRS. Each of the sides has length 10. I'm not actually going to deal with that quite yet. We're going to use it in a moment. Now we're told that point T is chosen on side PQ such that PT is 2. That means it's going to be right around there. We're going to call this T. And then we know that this has length 2, but that means that TQ must have length 8 for the sum to be 10. We're going to have the same sort of thing on each side. Point U is going to be on QR in such a way that QU is going to have length 2 and UR is going to have length 8. We're going to have point V on RS. It's going to be closer to R such that RV is 2 and VS is 8. And then lastly, we're going to draw point W on SP so that SW is 2 and WP is 8. And then we want to find the area of quadrilateral TUVW. Let's draw that in. TUVW. All right. I'm going to claim that quadrilateral TUVW is a square. First, I want to point out that all of its sides are going to be the same length, and I'm going to call that C. And the way that we know that the sides are going to be the same length is because each of the sides of that quadrilateral is the hypotenuse of a right triangle that has legs 2 and 8. All 4 of those right triangles are congruent, which means that all 4 sides of the quadrilateral are also congruent. Additionally, we know that the corresponding angles are going to be congruent. So these 4 thinner angles are all going to be congruent, and then the other bigger angles are also going to be congruent. Now we've already determined that the 4 sides of the quadrilateral TUVW are congruent, which means it's either going to be a square or it could be some sort of a generic rhombus. The difference would be if all of the angles are congruent or not. But we can see from this drawing that all of the angles are congruent. If we look at any of the angles, like this one right here, that angle comes from taking a straight angle and subtracting away one of the larger angles and one of the smaller angles. We can see this up with V as well. We have a straight angle, and then we're taking away one of the larger angles and then one of the smaller angles. So all of these have to be congruent, and if we have a quadrilateral with 4 congruent angles, we know that each of those has to be 90 degrees, and each of them has to be a right angle. So we can conclude that quadrilateral TUVW is a square. How do you find the area of a square? You just square the side length. But this is pretty easy because if you look at any of the right triangles and apply the Pythagorean Theorem, you can see that 8 squared plus 2 squared equals c squared. 8 squared is 64, and 2 squared is 4. So we know that c squared is 64 plus 4, which is 68. But we don't need to solve for c, because we wanted to know what c squared was. That gave us the area, and we know that that's 68, which is answer choice E.